We have been waiting 100 years for this day. And I've been waiting to say that for a long time. 100 years. This begins the next 100 years of the Norden Club also. 1978. And I was just getting in the insurance business at that time. And I knew a lot about the Norden Club. My grandfather was a member, my father was a member. My good friend Dan Johansson had just gotten into the Norden Club the year before. I had just vacationed with Dan's family in Myrtle Beach. His father was the president of the club. They treated me like their own son. We talked about the Norden Club. I thought, boy, this is great. My dad had taken me to the XVI Gustaf canoe party and the Midsummer Festival, and the parties were fantastic. So I thought, boy, this is first class. I want to be a member. My dad came to me and he said, "You really think you want to be a member?" I said, "Absolutely." She says, "Okay, we're going to go see Mr. Lindstrom." So he took me up to Mr. Lindstrom's house. Elmer Lindstrom was the secretary of the Norden Club. He ruled the Norden Club with an iron hand. Just ask Durand Peterson. Elmer was 6'4", bald, never smiled, had hands as big as baseball gloves, and he was very, very intimidating. We walked into his house, and he said, "Sit down," and I did. And the first thing he does is look at me and says, "What makes you think you should be a member of the Norden Club?" And I thought, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Well, I started to sweat immediately, and I stumbled through some answer about, well, my grandfather, my father, and I've been to the parties, and they're wonderful. I'd love to be a member. And he just sits there and looks at me. Then he gets a big scowl on his face, and he says, "My boy, this is about a lot more than the parties. The Norden Club is about a lot more than the parties. It's about your heritage. It's about the traditions and the things that our forefathers brought forth to this country, and you got to understand that." So I sat there, continuing to sweat. He says, he took pity on me, and he says, "You know, we are looking for younger members. We are going to let you into the club." And I thought, well, I'm going to get in. And he says, "Your first assignment will be to give the speech at the annual meeting with the town club. Now, I'm just a kid. I've never given a speech in my life. I look over at my dad, and he's got a big grin on his face. And I look back at Elmer, and he's now got a big grin on his face. And I said, boy, these guys set this up. I've been had. To the meeting to give that speech, there was this big wooden mallet sitting there in front of the president. I kept looking at it. See it? This is the wooden mallet. I kept looking at it, thinking, what is that thing? I've never seen anything like it. Well, he introduced me. I went up and gave my speech. For those of you that remember, it was the Birmingham Motors speech about the dual-axle Swedish-American car company. It started in Jamestown. That should have made us the new Detroit, Michigan. Didn't work out that way. But I gave the speech. By the way, if anybody's interested, I'd be happy to give that speech again for a fee. This gig's not paying too well. Thanks to our tight-fisted treasurer over here, Kurt Lindstrom. He reminds me of Elmer Lindstrom with a checkbook. But I was looking at this thing. I got done with the speech, and I sit back down, and I look at this thing and think, it looks like a big potato masher. I brought this with me. This was my Aunt Linny's potato masher. Her name was Lillian Olmstrand. She was from Norrköping. My dad's mother died when he was 6, and Aunt Linny came over to take care of and raise my father. This was her potato masher. It's the only thing I could think of when I saw this thing. So, I get done with the speech. really thankful that it's over with, as I will be soon. Finally, Fred Johansson picks this thing up. Says, "Meeting adjourned." I said, "Doggone it, it's a gavel." This is the Norden Club gavel, the original 1911 Norden Club gavel. It's the most unique gavel I've ever seen. I don't know about you. I've never seen another one like it. This is so emblematic to me of this club, because the Norden Club is a very unique club. There isn't another one like it. Sweden today is a very modern country. At His Majesty's coronation, he adopted the motto, "For Sweden, with the times." Very appropriate. Under his reign, Sweden has become an ultra-modern, contemporary, cosmopolitan country. The kroner is the most valued currency in Europe today. And the economy of Sweden is a marvel. Even in these difficult economic times, Sweden progresses and moves forward. You need to be proud of that. There's a very sharp contrast to the Sweden of today and the Sweden that our ancestors left over 100 years ago to come here. But that Sweden still exists. And it exists right here in this little corner of Sweden in western New York. We still do things exactly the way our grandparents and great-grandparents did when they came over here 100 and more years ago. We cook the same recipes. We eat the same foods. We still love our core, our rice pudding, our koldormers, our krepkaka, our lunspannekaka, all the things that we loved as children. We still eat them. The recipes are the same. We still say the same prayers. Isunam to Bortigo. We all know it. We learned these things as children, and they help form who we are. We still speak the same language they spoke when they came here. I can remember when we hosted a party for His Excellency Wilhelm Wachtmeister, the ambassador. And I can remember my dad speaking with him, and I was watching the two of them, and the ambassador's kind of smiling, and then he's kind of grinning, and then he starts chuckling. And my dad looks at him and he says, "You don't understand my Swedish, do you?" And Wachtmeister says, "No, I don't. It's a dialect I'm not familiar with." It was a country farm Swedish from the hills of Halmstad that my great-grandfather came over here speaking, and he taught my grandfather and taught my dad. They don't speak it over there, but we still speak it here. So these are wonderful things that the Norden Club has helped preserve. And they make us who we are, and they're the same traits that were possessed by those who came before us. And that's what the Norden Club is about, is keeping those traits and the heritage and the culture alive. In closing, I would like to ask all the gentlemen of the Norden Club to stand and raise your glasses. I want to propose one final toast. Gentlemen, while we as Swedish Americans know that we owe our allegiance to our flag, our president, and our Constitution, we also know that as Swedish Americans, in this little corner of Sweden, in western New York, in our hearts, you, Your Majesty, will always be our king. To our king, Skål! Hjärtligt tack.